Hi everyone, my name is Rozenberg. People call me ריבקי. Today I will teach you, 8th graders, a very special lesson. The lesson is called A Miracle on the Hudson River. Let's begin. Can you learn and enjoy a text about a miracle on the Hudson River? Can you expand your vocabulary, make it larger? Can you study types of text? Can you study and use connectors? You will be able to do so by the end of this lesson. What do you see in these pictures? Where do you think this is? Where is this? I see a river and I see a plane inside the river. That's not the place of the plane. The plane should be in the sky, right? Uh-oh, there was a problem here. And who is this? He looks like a captain of an airplane. What do you know about him? Let's dive into the lesson and you'll be able to know what happened here to this airplane and who this person is. First of all, we will start talking about the Hudson River. This is New York, the city of New York, and this is the Hudson River. The Hudson River is a 506-kilometer river. It's very, very long. You see the map here. It starts in the north state of New York. It goes all the way through New York City into the Atlantic Ocean. It's a very, very long river, 506-kilometer river that flows, zorem, from north to south, mostly through the east part of New York City. The east, I'm sure you know, this is north, south, east, west. So it's mostly in the east of New York, and this is the Hudson River. It's a very famous river. Important vocabulary for today. Crash landed, לכיתות חירום. Do you remember the picture here? The plane crash landed into the river. Alive. I am alive. I'm teaching you today. I am alive. You are alive too. Emergency. When this plane crashed into the river, it was a very, very, very big emergency. So the police was there, the firefighters, there was, an emergency. Immediately, miyad. Inform. When this crash landing happened, they informed the police, the firefighters, many emergency people helped to get the people out. We will read about this. Land. The plane landed in the water. It crash landed. A miracle. It was a miracle. What miracles do you know? I know about during Hanukkah there was a miracle, right? That the little oil lasted for many days. Rescue. There were people who were rescued from this crash landing. A few more words. This person here is an air traffic controller. He controls the flights. That's his job, an air traffic controller. Flock. This is a flock of birds, many, many birds. When they crash into an airplane, it's very, very dangerous. A flock, lehaka. Freezing cold. In Canada and in the North Pole, it's freezing, freezing cold. You see this person here, it's freezing cold. And this is called a runway for airplanes to land and to take off. Let's practice these words. Match the word to its picture. You have the words on here. Crash landing, alive, emergency, miracle, rescue, and freezing cold. Let's do one together. Which one is crash landing? Of course, it's A. You can do this. We'll come back. Hi again. Let's do this together. Crash landing. See this plane here? He crash landed in the river. Alive. This tree is alive. This one is dead. Emergency. You have here an ambulance, the police, the firefighters, and the rescue team. Usually they have a helicopter. Emergency. Miracle. Nes. If this person gets up from the wheelchair and starts walking, that's a miracle. Rescue. You see this person? He's rescuing this one. A rescue team. And freezing cold. It's freezing cold in this picture. Let's continue. You remember the picture from the beginning of the lesson? This is Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger. He was a hero from what happened on the Hudson River, the miracle on the Hudson River. He's a pilot. He was a pilot. Now he's retired, I believe. So he was the captain of this airplane. Captain, the Tayas, Sully Sullenberger. And he was a hero for landing this airplane in the Hudson River. You'll see why. Let's read the news report from January 16th, 2009. How do we know it's a news report? First of all, we can look here on top. This is the name of the newspaper, Daily News, and this is the date when it happened, when it showed this ad in this newspaper report, January 16th, 2009. What is the miracle? Let's read together. The miracle on the Hudson River. This is the name of the river, remember from the beginning of the lesson? I'll show you again where this is the Hudson River. So now we will read what happened on the Hudson River. New York, U.S. Airways flight, this is the name of the airline, U.S. Airways, 1549, it's the number of the flight, crash landed. Nekhitat, what do we say crash landed is in Hebrew? Nekhitat Hirom. Let's go back. So, U.S. Airways flight 1549 crash landed in the Hudson River. The pilot, Captain Sullenberger, made a successful emergency landing. He landed in the Hudson River successfully. Everyone on the airplane was able to get out safely. So something went wrong with the airplane, but he landed instead of on the runway, he landed in the Hudson River. This is the river. But it was a success, זיהית הצלחה, because everyone on the airplane, you see all these people, they were able to get out safely. בביטחון. They came out בביטחון. Safe. They were saved. So this was a miracle. Something went wrong with the airplane. Captain Sullenberger landed the airplane, crash landed into the Hudson River, but all the people were safe. They were all able to get out. You see they're standing on the wings here? They're waiting to be saved by the emergency crews. Emergency. On January 15th, 2009, air traffic controller, this is this person, air traffic, he controls the air traffic. Patrick Harton, this is his name, we know because it's in capital letters, arrived at work, as usual, at 12:30 p.m. As part of his job, he was responsible for, אחראי על, all the airplanes leaving LaGuardia Airport in New York. So he is responsible for controlling all the airplanes leaving from LaGuardia Airport, it's the name of the airport, in New York. So he arrived at work at 12:30 and he started controlling the flights. You see him with these two batons? He controls the flights. At 3:25 p.m., US Airways Flight 1549 took off, Himri, this is Himri, and Harton, his name is Harton, you remember, Patrick Harton. Harton instructed, he told the pilot to climb to 15,000 feet, go higher. Soon after, the pilot, Captain Sullenberger, informed, he told, this is told, Harton that he was in trouble. He told him, probably he has a special phone, I am in trouble, this is the captain, I am in trouble. The plane had hit a flock of birds. המטוס התנגש בציפורים, the flock of birds, להקת ציפורים, and lost power. No more power, אין חשמל. Oh no, the pilot needed to return to LaGuardia Airport immediately, miyad. He had to return to the airport to make an emergency landing, לכיתות חירום. So the US Airways Flight 1549 took off and suddenly hit a flock of birds, and the captain informed the air traffic controller that he had to immediately land. But what are they going to do? As Harton later explained, Harton is of course the air traffic controller. He says, when a pilot tells a controller he needs to make an emergency landing, the controller must act quickly. What happens when a pilot calls the air traffic controller and says, help, help, I need to land, אני צריך לנחות, quickly? What does the air traffic controller do? Harton made a quick decision, מהר, he decided to offer Captain Sullenberger runway number 13, which was the closest runway. זה היה הכי קרוב. You remember the runway? This here is the runway. So he had to quickly tell him, go, quickly land in runway 13. This is the decision the air traffic controller, this person, had to tell Captain Sullenberger. What happened? The plane crash landed in the freezing cold water of the Hudson River and started filling with water. So the plane crashed in the water of the river, but the passengers, the people on the plane, נוסעים, this is נוסעים, on the plane, were able to get out of the plane and stand on the wings. Wow, do you remember this picture of them standing on the wings, all the passengers? So the passengers were able to get out of the plane and stand on the wings. Police and fireboats hurried quickly to the plane and rescued the passengers. הם הצילו את הנוסעים. הצילו, sorry. It was a miracle. נס. It was a miracle. Everybody was alive. כולם הצליחו לחיות. ניצלו. Here is the picture of the US Airways flight, and here are all the passengers standing on the wings, waiting for the police to rescue them. So Captain Sullenberger crash landed into the river, but they managed, it was a miracle. The passengers were alive. I would like to talk to you now about what type of text we just read. Is it a newspaper article? Is it a poem, shir? Is it a story, סיפור? Is it an interview between two people? Or is it a procedure? Do this, do this, do this. Number one, do this. Number two, do this. Procedure. What do you think? What type of text have we just read? By looking at the text, you can see the name of the newspaper, Daily News, and the date. So this is a newspaper article. And we see the title, Miracle on the Hudson River. Ness on the Hudson River. in New York, of course. Now, I'd like you to do this exercise. During the emergency, please complete this sentence. During the emergency, Harton was the air traffic controller. He had to, let's go back and see. During here, what did Harton had to do? He had quickly make a decision, right? He had to quickly decide what to do. Quickly decide. So this is the answer. During the emergency, Harton had to quickly decide what to do. Where should I tell Captain Sullenberger to land? But let's look at the answers here. Let's find this answer. Think quickly and remain calm. Tell the pilot to land in the Hudson. Prepare the runway for the emergency landing. Try to find a runway for the plane to land, or help rescue the passengers. I think there's more than one answer here. So first, I think quickly and remain calm. Very, very calm. Shalev, beshalva. What else? Tell the pilot to land in the Hudson? No, he didn't say that. How about prepare the runway for the emergency landing? I don't think so. He also tried to find a runway, right? You remember? He tried to find a runway for the plane to land on. So these are the answers for this. During the break, I would like you to do this creative exercise. Think of the following question. Do you think Miracle on the Hudson River is a good title for this article? What do you think? Miracle on the Hudson River. Is it a good title? Explain. Try to think of a different title for the article. We will take a break now, but during the break I would like you to answer these questions. So quickly take a picture of this slide or write it down. I'll leave it on for a few seconds for you to write it down. I'll be back after the break. welcome back. During the break, I gave you an assignment to do, thinking about the following questions. Do you think Miracle on the Hudson River is a good title for this article in the newspaper? Explain. Try to think of a different title for the article. I hope you had a chance to do this. Let's continue. Do you remember the important vocabulary of today? Crash landed, לכיתות החירום, the airplane. Sully Sullenberg was a pilot of the airplane, and the airplane crash landed into the Hudson River in New York. Alive. All the passengers were alive. Emergency. Ambulance, police, the rescuers, they are the emergency people. They helped the passengers get off the plane. Immediately, right away, when the airplane crash landed into the river, immediately rescuers came to help the passengers. Inform. The pilot informed the air traffic controller, help, help, a flock of birds crashed into the airplane. Informed, lehodia. The airplane landed, crash landed into the river, and it was a miracle that all the passengers were alive. Rescue. They managed to rescue the passengers from this accident. Air traffic controller, this is the person here. He controls the air traffic, the planes, taking off and landing. Flock of birds crashed into the plane. Freezing cold. The airplane crash landed into the Hudson River, and it was freezing cold waters. Runway. This is a runway where airplanes take off and they land. Take off is lehamri, land is to land, linchot. Let's watch the video now, and while you watch, please answer this question in your notebook. What did Mr. Presley do that all passengers should do? What did he do? Let's watch the video.
January 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 departs New York's LaGuardia Airport. There are 150 passengers on board, bound for Charlotte, North Carolina.
The aircraft took off uneventfully, and very shortly after takeoff, they lost all engines as a result of birds.
I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and slightly to our right, but still ahead of us, was a line of birds. And they were very, very close, too close for us to maneuver around.
Whoa! After quickly assessing the situation, Captain Sully Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles realized that without engine power, they're not going to make it to any nearby airport.
We're going to be in the Hudson. Brace for impact.
You need to be aware of your brace position. In many, many accidents, the cabin crew are trying desperately to get the passengers into the brace position, but because the passengers haven't read...
Your heads down and stay down!
Proper brace position is knees together, feet flat on the floor, body bent as far forward as possible, with arms wrapped under the legs or braced against the seat in front of you.
Your body's going to be thrown forward. So if you can get yourself into that position beforehand, the amount of movement back and forth is going to be reduced and the level of injury will be less.
In the cabin, the passengers prepare for the inevitable.
All the passengers really started kind of pulling together, and somebody yelled out as we were going down.
You ready at the doors?
The folks at the door says, "We're ready."
Clay Presley does what all passengers should. He stays calm and tries to think ahead.
So I started thinking about, if we're going to crash, I know I need to figure out where the exit rows are. If the water comes in, you need to be able to hold your breath long enough to get to those 4 or 5 rows and get the doors open if you can.
But before anyone can escape, they must first survive a high-speed impact.
Looked like the airplane was going right for the bottom of the Hudson River. Then the airplane popped up, and it was just sort of gently rocking in the waves.
In an instant, the $75 million plane has become an unlikely boat floating down the Hudson River. It's now filling with freezing water.
That water was cold. It was very cold, and so your feet are freezing.
You land in the Hudson in the middle of the winter, the water is going to be very cold, and you're going to suffer from hypothermia very quickly. Their feet and their hands will get numb. They're going to be useless.
Passengers nearest the exits open the doors.
I just jumped up very quickly and started making my way to the emergency door. And so I worked my way out onto the wing, just a few steps to start with.
Fortunately, they had slide rafts rather than just slides, so what they were able to do was evacuate passengers into the slide rafts.
In the end, all 150 passengers and the entire crew of Flight 1549 are brought to safety. Another example of how serious aviation accidents often end well.
So, what do we learn about what Mr. Presley said to all the passengers? Stay calm. Even though it's an emergency crash landing, you must stay calm and think about what you need to do. Very important advice. Let's do this activity right now. I'd like you to do it in your notebook. So you can write the number and the letter of the correct answer. Choose two answers that can complete each sentence. For example, number 1, you have to blank. You can do the dishes or wash the floor. Choices, moments, or options. Which ones? Of course, you have two choices or two options. You can either do the dishes or wash the floor. 2, the plane blank in a field. Remained calm, crashed, or landed. Number 3, that was a serious car accident, but everyone survived, is alive, or replied. Number 4, the police must act quickly in an emergency, to lose contact, or at the first sign of trouble. 5, Judy doesn't know about the meeting. Can you offer her, inform her, or contact her? 6, the plane blank without any problem. Rescued, turned back, or took off. Try to do this in your notebook, and we will be back soon. So let's go over your answers. The plane crashed and landed in a field. Crash landing. That was a serious car accident, but everyone, of course, survived. And you can also say, but everyone is alive. The police must act quickly in an emergency. בזמן חירום. Or at the first sign of trouble. Judy doesn't know about the meeting. Can you inform her? Just like the air traffic controller was informed. Or contact. The plane blank without any problem. It could be turned back, went back, or took off. להמריא. Now we will talk about connectors in a sentence. We use connectors just like first, then, next, after, later, finally, and in the end, to help show the order of events. So when you show an order of event, the first thing you can use first, then you can use then you can use, after that you can use next. These are the order of events. So for example, first the plane took off. Then the flock of birds crashed into the plane. Next, Captain Sullenberger contacted the air traffic controller. After that, the plane crash landed into the river. And finally, this is the last one thing you write, finally, the passengers were alive. Or finally and in the end are the same, basically. If you don't want to use finally, you can use the end, in the end. When you write first, then, and actually all of these, you have to put a comma after. So for example, first, the plane took off. Then you can write next, comma, and the rest. Always a comma after these connectors. Look at the 5 sentences below. You have 5 sentences here, A to E. In your notebook, I would like you to put them in order if you can. Write the connector, either first, then, next, after that, later, finally, and in the end. Let's look at this. The pilot said there was a problem and that we had to go back. That's not first. Back at the airport, they fixed the problem and we took off again. That's not first either. We got on the plane and found our seats. Perhaps this is the first. The plane landed in London 4 hours late. The plane took off. So I think first is this one, C, first. First, so we can cross this out. Actually, we can do this together. First, we got on the plane and found our seats. What happened next? The plane took off, right? So we can write then here, so we can cross this out. What's after that? The pilot said there was a problem and that we had to go back. So we can write next here, right? Then what happens? Back at the airport, so after the pilot said that, they went back to the airport. What happens at the airport? They fixed the problem. So after and comma, we can cross this out. And which one would you like to say? Finally or in the end? I would say finally. Finally, capital F, finally, and the rest of the sentence. So this is an example on how to use connectors. Now I would like you to do this creative activity. And if you don't have a chance to do it, the entire activity during the lesson, you can take a picture of it and do it at home after the lesson is over. Look at these pictures. You have 2 pictures here. One is a car crashed into the gate, car crash, and you also have a fire here in a forest. Look at these pictures. Imagine you were in one of these emergency situations. במצב חירום. Imagine you are in this situation. Answer the question in your notebook. What did you do at the first sign of trouble? What did you do when it first happened? Imagine you are in one of these, either in the car crash or in the fire. Answer the question in your notebook and try to use a connector. So for example, what did you do at the first sign of trouble? So you can say, when my car crashed, I contacted the police, and after that, or next, we tried to get out of the car. So this could be an example for you. Try to do this activity, and I will be back very soon. I hope you had a chance to do this creative assignment, but if not, you can take a picture of the slide or write down the information, and you can do it when the lesson is over. What I had liked you to do is look at these pictures. Imagine you were in an emergency situation like this, מצב חירום, either the car crash or the fire, and answer the question in your notebook. What did you do at the first sign of trouble? What did you do when this happened? And I also wanted you to use the connectors. I wrote them here for you. First, then next, and finally. Do you remember the connectors from here? First, then, next, after, later, finally, and in the end. These are very important connectors for you to know. Now you can learn and enjoy a text about a miracle on the Hudson River. Expand your vocabulary. We studied today different types of text, and we studied connectors. I hope you have enjoyed my lesson about the miracle on the Hudson River today. My name is Rivka Rosenberg, and I hope to see you soon.